A pet chameleon accidentally ends up in dirt, an old west town in need of a new sheriff, in the animated western comedy from 2011, Rango. I'm Austin Johnson,
And I'm Adam Johnson.
and this is Filmgazm. Hello, we're continuing our top 10 films of the 2010 series with my number 7, Rango, which is probably my favorite animated movie of all time, directed by Gore Verbinski, the man who gave us the first three Pirates of the Caribbean movies. And then Rango. Pretty crazy. I'm excited to be here with my older brother to talk about this movie just because I feel like we've never really had a discussion about this one, even though I'm pretty passionate about it. So I tried to combine my passion of this movie with a project that I'm going to kind of throw at you to just kind of like see where your head's at with some stuff. But first off, I do want to get your general thoughts on Rango and how'd you watch it this time around?
So this time it's on Paramount Plus, streaming on Paramount Plus. So for anybody who's wanting
Thank,
to watch it,
thank
yes,
you, thank you, and Nickelodeon. Yeah,
yeah, it's a Nickelodeon film. So all the Nickelodeon stuff is on Paramount Plus. So no, I that's where I watched it and watched it today. Watched it just a few hours ago, honestly. So really enjoyed it. The first time I saw it, I only seen it once before then. I very rarely get sick, but there was this one point where I was kind of sick from it was post basketball season. I was working at that Reynolds and Reynolds place. Remember that warehouse I used to work?
yeah,
Yeah, back in the day, when I was living in College Station, and I got sick for like 2 days, and so I just watched like a ton of movies in those 2 days. It was kind of in that weird lull, kind of like pre NBA playoffs. We're like, not really, watching that much, and so I watched like Skyfall had just come to like Netflix, and I watched this, and I watched like 6 or 7 movies over the course of like 2 days. It was just one of those things where I just didn't really leave the house for a couple of days, and this was one of them. And I was like, man, this is pretty good. And the second time around, I was like, it was even better than I remembered. And I actually moved my ranking up a little bit on Letterboxd after I did that. And so I like to do that after I see it. If I there's times where I've moved stuff down. It's like I see it, oh, I like that a
yes,
lot. Watch it a second time, I'm like, I don't know, was that good? But I've also gone the other way too. So this one went from a 3.5 to a 4 star for me on Letterboxd, and it's very good. It was really entertaining. I really enjoyed it.
yeah, that's awesome. That's kind of my favorite thing about Letterbox, especially if you come to it maybe a little later in life, because I imagine if you're 15 and you download Letterboxd, by the time you're 25, it's like a pretty accurate depiction of who you are, who you've become as a movie watcher. But you're the one, you and our friend Matt are kind of the ones who pushed me to get a Letterboxd. And I was like, oh, I'm going to get addicted. So I didn't want to get it. And I finally did. And I am a little bit addicted. And I feel so much of, because I guess when I got it, I was 26. And so it's been like 2.5 years since I got it. And there's so many movies that I've, rated or whatever, but I'm like, that's not really an accurate, I haven't seen this movie since I was 17 or 18 years old. There's like 8, 9 year gaps between watches. I don't really know how I feel. So I'll just be like, oh, 3 stars, 3.5, whatever. And I'm like you, there's been so many times I've moved them up or down, um, just because I'm a much different watcher these days. With Rango, I remember seeing it because you'll love this. The reason I saw it, it looked interesting to me. And I was like, oh, the guy who made Parts of the Caribbean. I was 16 when Rango came out. So I was aware of who, Verbinski was. But Grady Achilles came up to me at school and was like, dude, have you seen Rango? It's so funny. Like, it's so good. It's like a kind of like parodying, but also paying homage to Western movies. And I was like, the hell? This is like the only movie recommendation this guy's ever given me. So I remember going to see it and just kind of fell in love pretty quickly. And ever since, it's just grown and grown and grown. And there's definitely kind of a cult status it has these days as this adult like animated movie that is very close to getting a PG-13 rating for sure. There's some stuff in here that's not necessarily for children. So I definitely gravitate towards it more now than I did as a teenager. It's awesome, man. I'm super
Yeah,
stoked to kind of go
it
ahead.
it does not feel like a kids movie. I mean, it
No,
yeah,
not at all.
yeah,
Not at all. It's compared to like at that Oscars. We can get this out of the way. At the 84th Academy Awards, it won best animated film. It beat Puss in Boots, Kung Fu Panda 2. Like those are both like whatever. And then it beat these other two pretty mature animated movies, Chico and Rita. Just like, I mean, it has like nudity in it. It's like what? And then A Cat in Paris, which is, pretty, it's French. It's obviously, it's not Disney, but it's also not. It can be for kids, I guess. But Rango is the outlier. I mean, it's got like frogs smoking cigars and Harry Dean Stanton playing a mole that's like, what the hell are we doing here? There's like cursing in it. So Willow did watch a good chunk of this with me last night before she had to go to bed, and she was into it because of Rango, because of the chameleon. That she was like, that lizard's funny. I'm like, he is.
Yeah, he is pretty goofy. That helps
and
the kids.
And at the very beginning of the movie, he does that thing where he's like, crunchy, creamy, cookie, candy.
Yeah.
Like the classic, like Jack Sparrow, just banter, and Willow is like, oh, that's silly. And, it's like, yeah, but like Rattlesnake Jake might freak you out later. So, so go to bed. But I can't wait till I get to show her it and she understands what's going on. But I do have a project set up.
She's 25.
Yeah, 25, 20 to 25, somewhere in there, like in college. I do have a project that I want to kind of run through. It doesn't have to take too long. You can really, you're the one who's going to be talking your way through it. I went to your letterbox, and while you do change, we all change ratings every now and again. I felt like I picked 16 movies to put into a bracket, and I felt like these, because I know you, and I feel like you're pretty set in stone on how you feel about these 16 movies. Like you just really like them, honestly, I think these are all 4-star and up for you. Maybe there's like a couple 3.5. But this is kind of like a murderer's row of animated movies that are on your letterbox.
Oh, they're all animated. Okay.
All animated movies in honor of Rango. And you'll love this because like the NCAA tournament does the regions, like Midwest, North, whatever. Sure. I set this up into regions. Region 1 is Pixar.
Okay.
Region 2 is the Disney Renaissance era of the 90s.
Okay.
Region 3 is old Disney, also a couple DreamWorks. And then Region 4 is Wild Card because they're, like Rango doesn't really fit into any of those. So as well as a recent animated movie that I think is gonna probably do some damage here. So let's just fucking get into it. It's gonna be fun.
Okay.
Is there a region you'd like to start with?
Let's do wild card first. This is funny because I haven't gone back and like looked at the ratings of these, so I wonder if I'll pick one that I actually don't have as like my highest.
You never know.
Yeah, we'll see. But so maybe that would require some some rejiggering of the rankings. But yeah, we'll see. So yeah, no, let's start with wild card.
Yeah, so this happens. Like sometimes Connor and I will do like I'll just try to throw stuff like this at him without telling him.
Yeah.
And it'll get down to the end. And he's like, you know what? I'm rethinking my entire philosophy on this stuff. But okay, so wild card, first matchup. Let's just get it going. Rango versus Fantastic Mr. Fox. Gore Verbinski versus Wes Anderson. 2009 versus 2011.
I mean, I feel so bad, like being like, oh, the movie we're talking about on this podcast, like the first one that I'm like, like, get rid of it. But that's
that's the way the cookie crumbles.
I'll go Rango. Actually, I'll go Rango.
Okay.
Yeah, that's very close though. That's a good one.
Yeah. So those are two pretty mature. I like matching those up together.
Yeah,
because they're both kind of mature. Like I think Mr. Fox is appealing for your children to look at, but it's got some grown ass stuff going on in there, and very similar to stuff that you see like in Asteroid City, his newest film, right? So, it's great. Fantastic Mr. Fox fucking rules. It's great stuff. So that's that's kind of a coin flip. This one is going to be fascinating. We'll just go region by region and then kind of go back around.
Okay.
For the second round. So the other wild card, I mean, it doesn't get any nastier than this. We have a movie that you've been with for 28 years that came out the year I was born, and that's a Goofy movie.
Oh.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, which is like, I mean, which is against the movie that just came out about a month ago, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
I had to put one of those Spider-Mans in the wild card, region, but it was like, Goofy movie is not. I think some people would say, "Oh, that could be '90s Disney," but it's like a movie. It's like Disney Toons. It's not like a part of the Renaissance. Lion King, Hercules, Pocahontas, all those. So it's kind of an outlier. So I wanted to put it
Well,
in wild
because it's
card.
based on those like Disney like characters. You know, it's not
Yes.
yeah, it's not like
Yeah.
Pocahontas or whatever. Yeah.
And it's like
Um,
70 minutes. It's
yeah,
like
yeah,
so
yeah.
short.
This honestly is not very hard. I mean, it's Spider Verse. I mean, it's like it's just a way better movie. I mean, I love Goofy movies so much. There's so much sentimental attachment to it, and it's hilarious. Like, there's some really funny lines, but the power line stuff is great. But I mean, yeah, I thought Spider Verse like blew me away. I was so close to giving it 5 stars. Like it's about as close as I can get to giving a movie 5 stars. Where I just short. I've seen two in the past like couple weeks that I've almost given movies 5 stars to. It's Past Lives and Spider Verse, and
Yeah.
yeah. So, but yeah, no, it's Spider Verse for sure. But I love the movie though.
Yeah, so I mean, I would vote a Goofy movie just because I'm so biased. Like it's like a movie we watched. I mean, 1,000 times like,
Yeah,
as
yeah.
kids on VHS, and I've just carried it with me. Willow loves it. It's one of the movies that Brianna and I like very quickly realized like, okay, we can both quote this and get along with this movie. And I feel like I wouldn't be able to sleep tonight if I didn't mention possibly the greatest episode of the TV show Atlanta, shouting out a Goofy movie.
Yeah. Well, not just shouting it out. I mean, it's like
Yeah,
the whole thing is about it.
the
Yeah,
whole episode. Yeah, it's like a long episode of, quite frankly, about a Goofy movie. It's the blackest movie ever made. I mean, it's insanity, but it's just got so much kind of like lore behind it because it is kind of this outlier underdog type Disney movie, a Goofy movie. Like if you know, you know.
yeah. And
I
you're
mean, yeah,
talking about so that's season 4, episode 8, the goof who sat by the door.
yeah. There you go. I mean, yeah, legendary stuff. But yeah, I mean, Across the Spider Verse is probably the most impressive feat in the genre of animation. So not really a surprise there, but it is a funny matchup, like a movie
It
that
is.
came out literally weeks ago versus
Yeah,
this one that you've watched a million times. Let's
yeah.
jump over to uh, old Disney and DreamWorks region.
Okay.
So this matchup is awesome. Like these are both 4 stars on your letterbox, and I think you'd stand by it because these movies rule. You have 1967 Jungle Book
Okay.
versus 1973 Robin Hood.
Oh man. Oh wow.
That's a good one.
That
Yeah,
is a good one. That is a good one. I'm just gonna go with gut, kind of like first thought when you say them. I'll go Jungle Book.
yeah. I think I'd vote the same. I mean, the music, the
The music
songs,
separates it.
just
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
You know,
But
no knock on Alan Adale, but you know, that's
yeah, yeah. I was about to say that. Yeah, Robin Hood, Little John. Yeah, I mean, great. Yeah, they're both great and both kind of my favorite from that era of Disney. Not the super old, but
yeah.
60s, 70s Disney. Those are probably my two favorites, and obviously for you as well. DreamWorks matchup: Shrek, of course, from 2001, up against an underdog here, and a letterboxed favorite has a 3.9 rating. The Prince of Egypt.
Yeah. What do I have it at? What do I have?
You had it at 3.5 or 4.
Okay. Okay.
I can't remember. I have it at 4. It's fucking good.
Yeah, Prince of Egypt's great. Prince of Egypt is great.
And
I'm
it's
gonna go Shrek,
cool.
though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but it's
I'll go Shrek for a couple of reasons. I mean, obviously the first time I saw Shrek was like oh, this is awesome. Like this is just doing something kind of different. And animated, like there's a lot of winking stuff, which like I think our parents were laughing at that. Like I didn't totally get that. Like I now get, when I tore my ACL, the right one or the left one. I did the right one. I was younger, but I had like so much time to kill. Obviously, just sitting around, can't really do anything. And so I watched tons of movies, and I rewatched Shrek, and I was like, oh my god, this is so funny. Like I've forgotten like how funny it was, the Farquaad stuff, and then you start digging into like the reasoning behind like the naming of all the different characters and stuff like that. It's like it's really really good. So I'll go Shrek, but that's stuff. I mean, yeah, Prince of Egypt. That's one that's like again like so key to like our childhood, but I think Shrek is just slightly better.
yeah, I definitely go Shrek, but Prince of Egypt, no slouch. Also cool to see a biblical movie. Like it's probably the best biblical movie of all time.
Yeah.
Which is like kind of sad because there's so many amazing stories within, but it's just really well done. Good voice cast. The animation looks incredible. I believe that came out in 2000, so it was before Shrek. But yeah, I mean, Shrek is timeless. You can't go wrong. All ages, you're gonna enjoy it. It's laugh out loud stuff, and I agree with you. The reasoning for all of it and their whole like fuck you Pixar thing is really really funny to me. So good choice there. So that sets up a good second round on that side. Let's do the Disney Renaissance era.
Yep.
These are all 90s Walt Disney pictures. Aladdin versus Lion King, 1992 versus 1994.
Oh my God. So Aladdin's the first movie I ever saw in theaters. I was
Oh man. I
just about
mean,
2 years old. I'll go Aladdin. Lion King is just iconic. Obviously it's I mean, this could easily be the final, like easily. I mean,
okay. Oh, okay.
yeah.
So I'm with you. I mean, I think Aladdin's great. I'm not. I think Lion King is such like a normie. Like, yeah,
but that doesn't mean
sure.
it's bad though. You know what I mean?
No, it's not bad. I'm just
yeah,
like, I don't know. Like, I don't know.
yeah. Sometimes when like the thing for the masses like is that good, it's like well, there's
Yeah,
so many people like it. Yeah. But Aladdin, it's genie. It's the genie that separates it.
yeah. Robin
Yeah,
Williams. Yeah,
yeah,
there's
yeah,
nothing in Lion King that's as awesome as Robin
yeah.
Williams, no doubt.
Can't believe it. Losing to
Yeah,
a rug.
yeah, yeah. That is a cool one though. I mean, those two movies are wildly successful and like we're up for Oscars and whatnot. So, Hercules versus Tarzan. I want to say 97 Hercules, 96. And
Yeah. I'll go Hercules. Hercules.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Who puts the glad in Gladiator? That's
Yeah.
yeah, that's yeah. Hercules.
Hercules is good. Yeah.
It is. It is. I feel like it's like a little bit slept on in like this whole like
It
this
is.
era. Like, in terms of just like yeah, like quality. I mean, I guess it's because it doesn't have like the I don't know, like the cultural kind of cachet of like Aladdin or Lion King or whatever. But yeah, it kind of slips in to like in between those two like little phases. But yeah, I go Hercules. I think Hercules is hilarious. Danny DeVito as Phil is great.
Yes.
At
Yes.
Megra was, I was always like, yeah, like a young me was like, oh, okay, that's like maybe the type of person I'd want to be with, but
Yeah. Yeah. Still.
yeah, who
Yeah.
knows? Yeah, maybe, yeah. Maybe there's still some truth to that. Yeah, I'll go Hercules just for like kind of the comedy factor.
Yeah. 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 That's a tough one. I love Tarzan. I think Tarzan has like one of the coolest openings of any animated movie. It's just like wicked dark. Just like, oh my God, this thing is just killed this baby's parents. Like, my God.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I haven't watched Tarzan as much as Hercules. I think I think that maybe is part of it too. It's like Tarzan. I think because of it being like having some kind of intense like moments. I'm just kind of like Hercules. I feel like I could throw on with like Willow. Like it'd be a great one to throw on with Willow and just kind of like hang
Oh
out.
yeah. She
Whereas
likes it. Yeah.
like Tarzan, I might be like, oh, like am I really in the mood to like like have this like relatively dark thing happen? But yeah. Whereas like Hercules is just kind of this like fun loving and obviously there's moments of tension with like the losing his powers and the different like monsters and Hades. I mean, but that character is hilarious. Like there's a lot of like really good
Oh
lines.
yeah.
Yeah, I think the lines in Hercules are underrated. Like it's just really really funny, really quotable movie.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. I left out Pocahontas. Just not.
Yeah,
It's fine. But the one that I like the most from that era is Hunchback. And I wasn't quite sure. I know
no,
Jeremy's a big fan, but I wasn't
yeah.
quite sure where you stand on it. Yeah.
I had this one of those things. I mean, you probably understand this. Like those moments where you're kind of just like by yourself or working or whatever, you're just doing stuff and like something like a movie or something kind of pops in your head and you just like really think about it like very deeply. I was sitting there doing the score for the summer league game the other day. Uh, this high school girls summer league game that we run at our school, and I was thinking about Frollo like in particular and how intense of a character that is, and
Oh yeah. Yeah.
it's like, man, this is like a kid's movie, and like he's talking about these like really heavy like life and death like things, and like he has to remove himself because of like his temptations and things like that. I was just like, man, like what a crazy like thing to just
Yeah.
it's like animated kids movie. I just call myself like kind of thinking about him and like that movie and all that stuff, but I don't really know why. I think I was just bored, but yeah, yeah, that movie's like super intense. I actually like it quite a bit. I probably like that more than Tarzan. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I definitely. Yeah. It's like a perfect animated movie to me. I mean, yeah. The whole like, hellfire.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
Jesus. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. There's like. I mean, for lack of a better word, there's like rapey vibes going on. Like,
Yeah, to say the least.
you know,
Yeah,
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 it's wild. Yeah. So I've Connor and I have had conversations about that when we are both on the same page. That is the kind of slept on Disney Renaissance movie that should be celebrated more. Pocahontas. Little Mermaid is the one that kicks it off, 1989. Just not really my kind of jam. And the other one, the random one, is Rescuers Down Under.
Yeah,
That's like
solid.
1992. Yeah, also underrated. So it's a crazy run. It's like unprecedented. Like the what it just saved the animated movies of Disney. All right, that finishes that region. Last region, Pixar.
Okay, there we go.
Are we saving the best for last? Maybe.
There we go.
Okay, so I picked four. I know like our opinions kind of change on them or whatever, but I know three of these I've heard you speak very highly of, and one of them we've done an episode on, Inside Out. So
Sure.
I matched up. I tried to do two from like the first stage of Pixar and then two of the latter. So Inside Out versus Soul is the first matchup.
Okay. Inside Out. Inside Out. I like Soul a lot. I need to watch Soul again. There's obviously tons of like little shout outs and New York stuff and
yeah,
jokes I obviously like, but yeah,
Nick's jokes. Yeah.
Inside Out is awesome. I mean, just yeah, Nick's jokes which don't hold up as much now.
After making the playoffs, yeah, two out of 3 years, right?
Yeah.
2 out of 3, yeah.
So no, I would go Inside Out. I mean, like you said, we did it. This is my top 10 of the whole decade. So yeah, Inside Out.
Yeah, Soul didn't quite make the cut. Is in the 2020s, and yeah, we'll have to see kind of how it lives on. This other one, I don't think it's gonna be very tough, but it is fun to talk about both these, just kind of as a matchup. Toy Story 1995 versus 2007's Ratatouille.
Ratatouille. Yeah. I knew. I was gonna say you guys have Ratatouille in there. Yeah, Toy Story. Yeah. I'm not gonna overcomplicate it. It's Toy Story, but Ratatouille is great, and another one that
deserves to be here. Deserves to be here.
It's another one I've returned to like quite a few times. It's one I've seen quite a few times, and to me holds up and is very funny and poignant and like really like, yeah, like it teaches a solid lesson without like. I mean, I think some of these more modern ones, I haven't seen Elemental, yet, but like
not doing too hot.
Yeah, it's not, and they're returning to maybe just slightly too common of themes, like hitting some of these themes like too hard, instead of kind of making them a little bit more fun. That's something I think that's been a discussion. Is like is Pixar trying to get a little too heady with some of this stuff rather than kind of just like the fun loving stuff of they all have like a lesson, every Pixar movie, but Ratatouille kind of straddles that line really well, I think. Is one of my favorites. But yeah, no, Toy Story is Toy Story. It's like that's yeah.
I think
Toy Story is like a one seed. If we're doing the NCAA tournament, give me like Toy Story.
It is. It's at the top left. Yeah, I have it at the top left.
Yeah.
Ratatouille. So all the Pixar movies, they have like a thing, obviously like a central, like toys, bugs, monsters, robots, whatever, superheroes. But for Ratatouille, for me, it's food, and they make food look so good in that movie. I mean, obviously it's it's got a lot of rats in it, but I'd say the main kind of connection between our two main characters is their food passion. And there's dishes in that movie that I'm like, fuck, I'm hungry.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
It is. I'm watching season 2 of The Bear right now, and I'm getting those same feelings watching some of this. I was like, oh my god, like I really want to go cook something. You know what I mean? I really want.
Honestly, so they released all the episodes of season 2 of Bear.
I hate that. I know. I hate that.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's either whatever. Like I'll watch a couple at a time, probably, but I haven't started it yet because of that. I know that's stupid, but when I watched the first season of Bear, I would watch it really late at night, and I like watch an episode before I go to bed because they're kind of short. They're like super long episodes.
No, yeah,
and I would get so fucking hungry.
Yeah.
At like 2 a.m. and I was like, I mean, I can't. Like I'm not going to the kitchen and making a sandwich that isn't going to be anywhere near as good as
right. Yeah.
what this guy's making. So it's like a problem. Like it's like I know I'm going to go down. Like I don't love watching food shows because I'm like, first off, I can't afford this stuff.
Yeah.
Second, I don't know how to make it. Third, I'm just going to get really hungry. So it's like it's kind of sad.
It is. It's very good so far. I'm 3 episodes in. I watch like one a day. Essentially, is kind of how I like do it. Yeah. But every time I watch an episode, there's like at least one dish on there. Like, oh my god, like I really want to like cook. Like I really want to like I really wish I could cook. I was like better at that and stuff like that. So I actually got some like this doesn't matter. I'm not gonna even tell that story. That's not has nothing to do with animated movies. So let's continue. But Ratatouille also has that same thing. I also want to cook sometimes when I watch that.
Yeah. Yes. Ratatouille. Fantastic stuff. If you haven't seen it in a while, revisit it. All right. Let's go back to the wild card region for round two.
Okay.
Rango versus Across the Spider-Verse.
Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
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 Crazy, right?
Yeah, I don't even feel like it's recency bias. I'm like, it's just that good. Like it's I mean, the first one,
Yeah.
it's absolutely fantastic, but I like the second one just like a little bit more. Yeah,
I have them both at 4.5 stars, but I think I like the second one quite a bit more. Uh, Obviously, I've seen the 2018 one. I've seen it now like 10 times because Willow really, really likes that one. Well, she saw the new one in theaters and she just likes it a lot. She thinks it looks so cool because it does.
it does. Yeah,
And because it's 5 years old, I've seen it so many times, so I have this kind of firm, feeling about it. I just think the ceiling for the second one is so high. Like when I finally do rewatch it at home when it comes out on streaming, I'm gonna be like, oh my god, this is even better than I thought. Because of course, a movie that kind of can just kind of destroy your mind in the theater because it's just this massive screen, the sounds, and like,
yep.
of course, it's going to kind of just pulverize you. But if it does something similar when you watch it at home, the sky's the limit. That's like for a movie to be rewatchable, and I see it living on forever. So yeah, no, I don't see any recency bias in putting this in this tournament. We both really liked it, and I wanted to see how it stacks up against these movies that have been around for some of them fucking 60 years.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So let's do that. Let's talk about Jungle Book, 1967, going against DreamWorks' Shrek. It's a weird one.
Yeah, that is. There's such different movies. I'll go Jungle Book. I'll go Jungle Book. As much as I like Shrek and there's some good music moments in that, like, yeah, the music in Jungle Book is like, I mean, like I will just like put it on sometimes. Like, I mean, just kind of like if I'm in like a more,
oh yeah,
like
Spotify,
a more whimsical mood. Yeah, it's like, but I'll put on, yeah, I mean Jungle Book. I mean, specifically like the King Louis stuff. It's like I just love that stuff. It's awesome. So yeah, I'll go Jungle Book. It's just that's a close one. That's a tight one though.
And it's underrated funny at this point. Like some of the characters, like the way they just kind of like bop around.
Yeah.
like is really, really, really funny. And
the little monkey that kind of like does the like
yeah. It's like doing a solo, like a Dewey Finn solo in the middle of the movie. Yeah, King Louis is amazing. Great characters, great vocal stuff going on. There's some like dicey stuff going on, but it's 1967,
Yeah.
But Jungle Book making an appearance in the final four here.
Yeah,
Love it.
yeah.
All right, Aladdin versus Hercules.
Aladdin.
Yeah.
That was actually kind of easy. Yeah. That's
Aladdin versus Hercules is easier than Aladdin versus Lion King.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So if Lion King were going against Hercules, you'd probably choose Lion King. Is what I gather from that.
Probably. Yeah.
It's all based on matchup, just like sports.
No, it is. Not always the fairest, but
yeah. Okay. Last matchup of the second round. The Pixar bracket: Toy Story versus Inside Out, which I imagine are your two favorite Pixar movies. They're mine. It's my two favorite.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, Toy Story 3 would be right there with them.
Yeah, I love Toy Story 1, 2, and 3. Like,
yeah.
Two's underrated.
Yeah,
fucking Al's Toy Barn is like, he's such a great
character. Yeah, I mean 3 is like right. Yeah, it's like right in that same. Yeah, if we're doing the tiers, it's in that same tier. Let's go Toy Story. I'm gonna stick with who I am. So as annoying as this is, so if I'm not correct, we have 3. Well, I mean, are we counting Spider-Verse? I guess there's Sony. It's not necessarily Disney, right? Like,
yeah. I mean,
what are we? I don't know.
It's like the whole. We did this one time. Me and Connor were talking about this because we did a top 5. Actually, the last time we did Rango was almost 2 years ago. I re-listened to some of the episode the other day, and what we did for that was we did top 5 non-Disney slash non-Pixar animated movies, so we couldn't include anything Disney.
Okay.
And we got down to the end, and Connor's like, "Oh, this is my number one." And I was like, "Oh, here's my number one." I was like, "Man, you didn't have Into the Spider-Verse." I was surprised. He's such a huge comic book fan, such a huge superhero fan. And he was like, "Yeah, those are muddy waters there, my man." Like when you're dealing with Sony, Marvel, Disney, you just like it's almost like you want to step away, like remove yourself from the dinner table because you're like, it's gonna get political. I don't want any of this.
Yeah, no, that is tricky. Because I was gonna say that 3 of the 4 are like kind of under the Disney umbrella, but they actually are like 3 different, or like are all 4.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, because you got Jungle Book versus Across the Spider-Verse and Toy Story versus Aladdin.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
our final.
yeah.
That's
2
our
are
final
just
4.
straight up Disney, and then we've got the
Pixar and Across.
Yeah.
But we have 2 from the '90s, which makes sense for you. 1 old school '60s, and then 2020s. That's pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah.
So Jungle Book versus Across the Spider-Verse.
That's genuinely hard. That's genuinely hard.
Bill Russell versus Nikola Jokic.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, it's like what are we? Yeah, this is about 65 years apart. What did you say? Jungle Book is 60 what?
67.
Yeah, so 66 years apart. Yeah, that's crazy.
Is that right?
Yeah. No, 56 years. 56 years. Sorry.
56. I was gonna say because 60 to 20s would be six. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
56 years apart. Yeah.
Still, I mean, yeah. Still.
Yeah. Wow. This is really hard. And the other one would be Toy Story against
Aladdin. 90s.
Oh,
a 90s matchup.
Brutal. Wow. Give me Spider-Verse.
Yeah, let's go.
Give me Spider-Verse. I was like really blown away by it. Like I left it like just like on this total like cloud 9. Like I just kind of like floated out of the theater, and
yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, I'd had kind of like a weird day. I actually ran out of gas that day for the first time in my life. I ran out of gas 0.3 miles from a gas station.
Stalled.
Yeah, I was on my way to the movie. I mean, I was going to the movie, so I thankfully hadn't bought a ticket yet, so I ended up going to a different theater. And ended up getting free popcorn, which is great. So it was like just like one of those kind of like, oh, I needed that, after that kind of like annoying thing that happened earlier in the day. And it's just so good. I can't wait to see it again. I mean, I'm so like, like I'm not a huge rewatcher of stuff. Like I try to reserve that for like only the very best things, or if I'm watching like with somebody, like I want to show somebody something. But it's the only one I've considered recently that I would go see in theaters again. Like just because of the visual experience of it. It's like the only thing I'm like, I actually like if somebody wanted to do that, like I'd probably go with them, like I liked it that much. But so yeah, so that's in the final. That's crazy. And then Toy Story.
Toy Story versus Aladdin. Yeah.
That's just wow. I mean, talk about 10-year-old me would have been like, these are the 2 goats right here.
Bird and magic here. Yeah,
it is. Let's go Toy Story.
Oh man, look at this.
And then Toy Story versus Spider-Verse.
Yes.
Toy Story.
Yeah, the goat.
Yeah. I can't. I can't separate. I remember when we saw Toy Story in theaters. Well, were you even born yet? Yeah, you would have been.
I would have been 6 months old. Probably.
Okay, yeah, so you wouldn't have gone with us, but I can remember the day. I remember pretty like vividly. And then coming back to the house, and I remember it all.
Instant,
yeah.
It's still,
I was like, what, 5? I mean, it's so
it still does that thing that like Jalen, Will and Sabrina's son.
Yeah,
Jalen's like obsessed with Toy Story. It's like they just showed it to him when he was whatever 1, 2, and I mean, he watches it. Will was like he watches it like still every week, and like has a Woody and Buzz, like has the figures, and like and like plays with them or whatever, and like it's crazy. Just that generational thing is just like so powerful and is kind of what connects us, is like the cloth that holds us together. And Toy Story's just a big deal. It just is a big deal.
And even in their attempts to kind of like modernize the story and like do the Lightyear thing, it's like, but kids like still just like Toy Story. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like,
It's the
Like,
better product. Yeah.
yeah. It's like it was kind of perfection. The first Pixar movie and the whole digital animation thing. I mean, it's also, like, not only is it great, it's also so like important for like the animated
Yes.
genre. You know what I
Correct.
mean? So like it's the same way I feel about like Social Network. It's like, oh, I absolutely love Social Network. It's one of my very favorite movies, but it's also so important. Like it's like both of them are actually true. There are movies that are important that aren't like that great quality. And then there are movies that are both, and this is one of them.
That's a conversation I love, but like people get so offended because I think so many movies that are important are, if you like just watch them as a movie, yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get in trouble. But like if you watch 1977, A New Hope, Star Wars, you're like, wow, this would have been really cool in 1977. But with everything that's happened since then, it's just like, it's pretty good. It's
Yeah,
pretty good. This is
yeah,
pretty good. It's not. I mean, I just watched it like 2 weeks ago, and I was like, I'm having fun. Like I'm having a good time. This is entertaining. The whole Jedi thing is fun. The storytelling is great. Some of the acting's pretty bad. I'll just be honest. Harrison Ford's like so obviously like high off his ass the entire time, and that's okay. That's all right because there's like models of these spaceships and like the way they film it, the way they tackle stuff is like
and
wow,
the practical effects are really cool. Yeah, yeah,
is incredible. It's incredible,
yeah.
and that's kind of what you can like hang your hat on is with those first three Star Wars movies. Is like, I mean, how did they do that? But if you're just looking at it as a movie, I don't really get when people are just like, well, this is one of the greatest movies of all time because it's so important. It's like, I don't think it has to be both ways. I've never thought that. And so when something does kind of do both, like Alien, 1979, not only is it like, how did they do this? It's a fucking good movie. And like the stakes are super high. It looks impressive. The acting's incredible. The
Yeah.
twist, there's like a major twist in the middle of the movie that actually like pulverizes you. You're like, oh my God, Jaws, same way, like is
Yep.
just a damn good movie, and while also being really important. I don't think it has to be both though. That's why it's special when it is.
Yeah. No, I think that totally makes sense. And a way to kind of like, I don't know, like bring another like example into this, like, when we were making these lists and talking about this stuff like that, like, I try to separate like personal preference versus like quality and stuff like that. Sometimes it's like I can't really do that. Sometimes I can. Like Goofy movie is a good example. Like I mean,
Okay, yeah.
like what
I
what
mean,
was
yeah,
Goofy movie was up against what, Spider-Verse?
yeah.
Okay, so like to me, Spider-Verse is like a way, 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 way better movie. But Goofy movie has like this like
Yeah.
great, this like so much like history to it, to me specifically, and like us specifically, as like a family and our cousins and everything. That like that's why it was even like a debate. But like if I'm just, objectively measuring the movies, it's like this is not even close. But like I just I don't know. I don't know. Like Goofy movie, like I can kind of do both things. And I can understand why some people like they can't view things outside of just my favorite. It's like the favorite,
Yeah.
their favorite and the best is the same thing. Like and
Yeah.
that's fine. And when you're talking about like importance and things like that, like you're making these lists and like I look at like there's two YouTube channels that I look at a decent amount. Like one of them is just for like kind of popcorn entertainment, which is like Watch Mojo, right? Watch Mojo does these like almost like
Yes.
popcorn top tens and top 20s and stuff like that. They did one recently. It was the top 20 bass lines of all time, like in songs.
I got like halfway through that. I need to
Okay, yeah, I
I
sent it
need
to you
to
and Jeremy.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah.
cool. It's cool, and it like brought up a lot, but it's missing some stuff that I'm like, okay, this is probably like a better baseline. But they want to have like big artists, like they're very much like a kind of a populist, like
Correct.
yeah,
Yeah.
mainstream like channel. Whereas like Cinefix, which is a movie channel, like when they do their top tens, like they'll give you like deep cuts, like they're hitting you with like some real random shit, like and they're not as worried about like what's gonna be like the most popular thing. Like let's make sure we have Star Wars on every one of our lists, and so like that would be like kind of the two different like tracks. And I'm normally lean towards like the Cinefix like type thing, but I think specifically with movies, there's got to be a place for the kind of populist thing because it's like that's such a skill to be able to make something that a lot of people want to see. Now, like
Yeah.
that isn't the only skill, like there's a lot more to that. Like way more people are going to see Mario than Past Lives, but Past Lives is like, I mean, I like wept during the credits, like and Mario's like not going to move you on that level. It's just not doing the same. It's not even trying to do
Yeah.
the thing. So yeah, it's like there has to be room for both. Is kind of my point.
Yeah. I totally agree. And yeah, I mean, I can have both discussions for sure, and I do like doing that. I like the oh what's the overall best movie, and I think that can mean whatever it needs to mean to you, but it's fun to try to find a mutual, agreement on what is best. Or and I do think that should mean that like most people are going to be rocked by this. Like even if it's someone who likes popcorn movies, if you just force them to sit down and watch past lives, I guarantee they're going to be moved. It's
Mhm.
just taking that time to do so. uh so yeah, I agree with pretty much everything you said. I've always kind of moved that way. When it comes to my personal letterboxed, I throw everything out the window. I'm like, how much do I like it? Fuck everybody else.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So like a Goofy movie is 5 stars because it means the world to me.
yeah,
And I quote it so much. And when I'm watching it, I mean, I'm like, my eyes are peeled. Like I don't look at anything else. I'm just, because it's like 75 minutes of just glory,
yeah,
like I can't get over it. I even get hungry when I look at like the cheese pizza that's like, like the way
yeah,
the
yeah.
cheese just like,
Yep.
like droops off. Uh, you mentioned the power line stuff earlier, all of that, So a Goofy movie is like, yeah, like fuck you, it's mine. You know what I mean? It's like one of those. I don't care. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care if it like looks bad. I don't care if the writing's shitty. To me, it's incredible, and like so that's why I with my letterbox specifically, I try to just like stick with it's like my brand.
Yeah, I should take more of that kind of tact with Letterbox specifically, rather than kind of just like, oh, let me grade the quality of this, because like mine would look so much different because I'm so stingy with 5 stars, like
Yeah,
so stingy with 5 stars. Like there's just not, I don't know. Um, yeah, but like I wanted to walk out of the theater and just give Past Lives 5 stars, but I'm like,
well, I
should I be
yeah.
a little more stingy? Should I, and
So
I unfortunately do have a little bit of an anchoring like thing. Like I went through and like liked and rated all the Black Mirror episodes because I finished this new season. I was like, oh, I haven't gone back and like done that with like all the other ones, and they basically are movies because they're all standalone things. And so I don't really like doing
yeah,
TV on there very much, but I do like doing Black Mirror because like they're basically like they're all movies. And some of them are like the length of a movie, but yeah. So I went through and did all of those, and like I definitely was like looking at like, oh, what's like the general rating of this, and like just trying to remember like, oh yeah, how did I feel about some of that? It's like I don't like that I did that. I should just be like the first like what did I think of it, period, you know what I mean? But some of them I've seen
correct.
so long that it's like I need a little bit of like a refresher of like, oh yeah, which one was this about? Like let me look at like what other people are saying about it, um yeah, I don't know. I kind of split the difference on that, and I wish I would just kind of choose a direction, either just go quality or just go personal.
Yeah, yeah. At first, I did quality, and then I was like, you know what? It's like if someone is looking at mine, it's mine.
It's
It's
yours.
not.
Right, right.
It's not anybody else's. It's. And my my profile picture is Bobby from the Goofy movie,
Right.
like leaning on like the TV
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
in the
It's
school.
always so easy for me to know that that's yours because so many people don't have like pictures like them or anything. Like it's hard to know. Like so, if I see like friends have like rated this, like, well, I know that's Austin. It's like it's so obvious.
Yeah, Bobby.
Bobby, Bobby,
Yeah, I mean, just Mysia. What's
what's
up,
up, bro?
bro? Yeah, Robert Zimmer. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Don't get me started. Uh, I somehow I think Connor and I a lot of because he adores that movie as well, a Goofy movie. There's movies we both have like stayed away from on podcasts because we're like that can be dangerous.
I was gonna say y'all have
Because
not done Goofy movie, right?
we have not, and
Yeah.
because it could go on forever.
Well, maybe we just need to do that. Have the four of us on and just go like do like a 3 hour Goofy movie like breakdown, and then talk like this
Yeah,
on the episode and like bring in Bree and bring it. You know what I mean? Like have like that element of it.
yeah, I would love to do. Yeah, I would love to take it like as if it's Citizen Kane and get
Yeah, like
like
way too seriously. Yeah,
yeah, like Adam, you break down this scene with me, and then
yeah,
Jeremy, and then yeah, Brianna and Connor, and yeah, we'll just like slowly go through every 5 minutes
that would be hilarious.
of a Goofy movie. God, yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. So I would have had a hard time voting against it, even with Across the Spider Verse. I'd have a hard time. So that's the whole point of it, though, is like it's all for fun.
Yeah.
I make these brackets. There was one one of my favorite moments with Connor was we did. This is on Oscar Sunday a long time ago. I mean, this is before we even moved here, so like over 2 years ago. We did 16 best lead actor winners, and obviously I chose 16 movies that he's seen, 16 performances that he likes, and we got down to the end, and it was or it might have been a Final Four matchup, and it was Burt Lancaster in the movie Elmer Gantry versus Daniel Day Lewis and There'll Be Blood, and he like talked himself through it, and he was like, "Fuck it, Burt Lancaster," and I was like, "What?" like lost my mind because I also love that movie. I love Elmer Gantry, and a lot of Elmer Gantry is in There'll Be Blood for sure. Like there's a lot of kind of homage being paid, but it was just one of those moments of him being like, you know what, I don't need to just pick this because that's what everybody else would do. I'm going to choose what I was rocked by. He had just seen that movie probably for the first time a few months before, and he like went with it. That's kind of why it's fun, is these random matchups that you guys have no idea about. I just did it with Brianna recently, an A24
I
bracket.
listened to that. It was good. Yeah.
It was hilarious because she would just like kind of be like, "Oh shit,"
Yeah. No, there's some
you
good
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, A24. I mean, it's just like it's kind of like a personality test, to see like
Okay.
what ends up at the top. But
Yeah, mine
uh,
would have been different than hers, which is why it was interesting to listen to.
for sure, I would have picked different movies for you as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like I can't remember specifically. Well, like she chose something over Lady Bird, and I was like, "Hoo, careful now." It's like I love that movie, but that's why we do it. So Toy Story wins, beating Across the Spider Verse in this 2023 animated movie bracket. So that was a lot of fun. But we'll turn our attention to Rango here for the rest of the show. Just gonna whip through this and then get to some awards. Written by John Logan, James Ward Burkett, and Gore Verbinski, directed by Gore Verbinski. Had a budget of 135 million for an animated movie. Is just like what the hell. But it made $250 million back, so it profited and is still a movie people care about. 7.2 on IMDb, 88% on Rotten Tomatoes, pretty solid, and a 3.6 on Letterboxd. Also, again, as I mentioned earlier, won Best Animated Feature at the 84th Academy Awards. It's on Paramount Plus, as Adam said. Nickelodeon and Paramount Pictures distributed it, so it's out there. Go watch it. Come back, listen to us, give it some awards. Typically, here we would do the draft that we've been doing the past couple weeks with or a couple weeks before. We did Uncut Gems.
Yep.
And Inherent Vice.
Yep.
Then last week was the Coco episode, and that was only 2 people. So we're gonna get back to the drafts for the awards eventually when we have 3 people. But when it's just 2, we're gonna stick with just kind of picking our own. If we overlap, so be it. So we have the Tarantino for your favorite quote, the Thomas Newman Award for your favorite music moment. This is a awesome score by Hans Zimmer, outdid himself for this animated movie. The Philip Seymour Hoffman Award for your favorite vocal performance in this case, and the John Carpenter Award for your favorite scene. So I'll let you start, and I'll finish this off.
Okay, and going anywhere?
Yeah, sure, why not? Fuck it. Whatever you do, I'll match. Like we're just gonna go. Yeah.
Okay. I'm actually gonna start with a quote. I had a few written down, but I'm gonna go with this one. It's from Rango. Yeah, there's a lot of like really like quick-witted, like a very very funny very fun thing. One of my ones, I don't think you'll have this, but this is from Balthazar, where it's thespians, that's illegal in 7 states.
Yeah.
Just like no clue. Yeah, like what they're gonna go through. So this is between Rango and Buford, and Rango says, "Us reptiles got to stick together, right, my brother?" Buford, "I'm an amphibian. Ain't no shame in that." That's
incredible. There's so many, like little animal creature, like making fun of themselves, or like, yeah. Balthazar is an awesome character. The blind mole, voiced by Harry Dean Stanton, who's like, what? Like this voice cast. I mean, I've talked about it many times on other podcasts. Is probably my favorite, just because it's not loaded with a bunch of mega stars or super recognizable names to the common eye. But if you're like a movie person, you like old movies especially, you're like, what the hell? How did they do this? How did they get all these people on board? And how did they get Roger Deakins to be the head consultant for the cinematography on an animated movie? Like, it's beyond me the way this got made.
It doesn't feel animated like when it's shots of like the terrain. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like obviously, like when it's on Rango, it's like that, or like any of the animals, like but it does not. Other than that, it does not feel like it really is beautiful to look at. I'm trying to find one of my other ones I was looking at was that Shakespeare quote where he's like, "Burn." I'm trying to find. I didn't write that one down, but I saw it was on.
Now remember, son, stay in school, eat your veggies, burn everything but Shakespeare.
Yes.
Who's Shakespeare? Yeah.
Yes. That one was hilarious too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, crunchy, creamy, cookie, candy, cupcake.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody, let's take it from the top.
Oh yeah, here it is. Yeah, yeah. Now remember, son, stay in school. Yeah, burn anything for Shakespeare. Yeah, yeah, that's great.
Yeah. It's tough. There's a lot of good little one-liners for sure. The thespians one is incredible. I love Balthazar.
Yeah,
I've always kind of considered him one of my favorite animated characters. But my it's kind of boring. But my favorite line has always been because I think it's not only is it really funny, like if you break down the quote, but it's Johnny Depp. And I don't really want to talk about Johnny Depp. Like I don't want to do
yeah, I
that
don't
whole
either.
thing.
Yeah, I don't either. Yeah,
So, but I think we're on the same page with like what we care. Like we both love Sweeney Todd. We both really liked the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, right? And there's like certain things he's in that we enjoy. And of course, this is my favorite thing he's ever done. But when he says the line, like I feel like only he could do it, just that kind of, fear and loathing, like
mm-hmm.
Hunter S. Thompson's
So much
type stuff.
so much fear and loathing in this. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean yeah, the direct shout out at the beginning of the movie when he's like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
it's another one of them, and like does the windshield wiper and he flies off.
yeah,
The beginning of the movie is incredible, but I went with the line. I couldn't help but notice you noticing me, noticing you. It's just one of those kind of quick things that only Depp can really pull off. It's kind of like the Jack Sparrow, like kind of like bumbling around, but also very intellectual in
yep,
his own in
yep,
his own way.
yeah. And he's got that kind of like change in like tone and pitch based on kind of like who he's talking to, and like he can kind of
Yeah,
And that's the thing that's like so cool about the movie in general is like he's acting constantly. That's like the thing he always wanted to do was like be able to act and stuff like that. And he's like now like kind of doing it, but then the stakes get raised, and he's like, oh shoot, like what do I do now? Like they're actually like looking to me for like real guidance here. I've never had to do that, so like let me try to figure it out. So do we ever really know like? I mean, he's just a pet, I guess.
yeah,
But
yeah.
like we don't know like where he's coming from, where he's going. It's just kind of like, yeah, but
No,
yeah, he was a
yeah,
pet.
which I think is such a good choice.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Because I think this movie, one of the things it has going for it, it's like take the credits away, it's like an hour and 40 minutes, and goes by pretty quick, has a good pace to it, and they never like linger on stuff too long. It's got some good action in it, got great dialogue. The whole Spirit of the West thing's awesome, but I do love the beginning because it's like clearly him in this like aquarium, and then it breaks and falls out the window when he's sliding on the glass, and he's like, it's just the
Yeah,
glass is going on the road. It's such a brilliant bit. Alfred Molina as Roadkill
yeah,
is incredible. So I think that's like a really good choice to like not have any like humans in it other than the Spirit of the West.
I agree. Yeah, he's the only animated human. Yeah, in the whole thing. Yeah,
Yeah. Basically, you just see cars driving by. You don't really know who's in it or what's going on. So yeah, I thought was like great choice. But yeah. Anyways, I'll kind of match your quick-witted, Tarantino with the I couldn't help but notice you noticing me noticing you. I want that on a T-shirt
yeah, that's good.
with Rango. Yeah, great stuff. So, where are you going next?
Performance. And I can look no further than I mean, it feels like almost like wrong to choose the only animated human being in this whole thing, but Timothy Olyphant as Spirit of the West is perfect. I mean, he's the justified character. I mean, he is kind of like the kind of like picture and voice of like that kind of like modern Western like guy. But it's just so good. It's like it's like a match made in heaven.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, doing
I
his
figured, are we gonna like? I mean, Depp obviously is like the reason the movie's like works. I'm not gonna like.
yeah. I wasn't gonna choose Depp just because it's like
Yeah,
I mean
yeah, yeah, yeah,
it is what it is. Yeah. Timothy's great. The kind of Clint Eastwood Man with No Name trilogy. Like, you can't walk out on your own story.
yeah, yeah, yeah. He like frames it.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. It's awesome. And I've heard a lot of the complaints about it are like, oh, it's kind of making fun of it too much. But the people who love it are like, no, it's paying homage to westerns. Like come on, it's doing both. Like it's doing what it wants to do. It's doing both. It's poking fun at it because the tropes are all the same for these old western movies from the like 60s and 70s, and it's also being like it's also badass. It's like also there's no the future where there's no lawman, there's no gunslinger. Like all of that is fun. That's why I love this movie so much because it's kind of just constantly referencing old movies. So I think that's a great pick. Man, this is a tough one. If you take Depp out, I was thinking about this earlier because I did choose Johnny Depp when we first did Rango,
Mhm.
and I think Connor chose Bill Nighy as Rattlesnake Jake, which is an excellent choice. I was kind of like, okay, choosing Johnny Depp would be like choosing the Patriots back when they had Tom Brady and like all those guys on Madden. Just
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
come on, fucker! Like,
yeah, yeah,
you're gonna choose the Patriots? Like, so I do think it's fun to look at somebody else. So I guess if I had to, like, gun to my head, as I mentioned earlier, Harry Dean Stanton as Balthazar
yeah.
is
He's great.
something else.
He's great.
His voice is crazy. Rest in peace. That guy fucking ruled. But yeah, there's so many cool character actors in this movie. Alfred Molina, awesome one. The other one that I would consider because I love the villains in this movie would be Ned Beatty as the mayor. He's frightening. The turtle mayor is frightening.
Yes, yes. Yeah, and I wanted to because I was trying to remember like who all was in this. So I watched like the first like 10 or 15 minutes before I like looked at the cast and everything. And then you see some that like come later, like I like Bad Bill. I was like, I wish I would have like waited to like look at the cast until I remember like that was Ray Winstone. Because
Yeah,
so
yeah, he's
great.
great. Yeah,
And there's a bunch
yeah,
of like good like ones like that, but
yeah, he's incredible. I love the Stephen Root as Doc.
yes,
Stephen Root's awesome. He's had such a wild career. So
yes,
many like random things that I love.
yeah, he has. And he's like an HBO all-star now. Like he's just like he pops up in tons of HBO stuff.
Yeah.
And shout out to Isla Fisher and Abigail Breslin as
Yep.
Beans and Priscilla. I think they're both really good. Isla Fisher doing like a real unique like accent. I mean, obviously she's Australian. Like how she kind of pulled that off is pretty impressive.
I mean, the first time I saw it, I mean, I wasn't like getting on my phone and like I wasn't that intense about, oh, who's Harry Dean Stanton? Like, well, like now I've actually seen a lot of his stuff now, but I was blown away when I found out that was Fisher. I was like, what?
Yeah, I would not have
That
guessed that.
is
Yeah.
she's probably doing the most work as far as like changing her entire persona, what we're used to seeing her as. Um, yeah, hats off to her for sure. This cast, it's unfair. It's unfair how well they did. The kind of hierarchy of it makes so much sense. The supporting members, Johnny Depp at the helm, Bill Nighy coming in at the end as this giant like snake with a fucking minigun. Like what? Like shooting bats out of the sky. I mean, it's great stuff. I'm trying to think. There's got to be others I'm forgetting. Oh, Gil. I think Gil Birmingham is his name, and he plays that one bird. What's that fucking bird's name?
Wounded Bird.
Yeah, Wounded Bird. Yeah, God,
Yeah.
awesome stuff. So
Yeah, he's really good. Yeah.
yeah, fucking love this movie. And then one of the guys who wrote the movie, James Ward Burkett, he voices like a ton of characters, like random characters. So hats off to him as well for jumping in. I love guys like that. All right, so you went Timothy Oliphant,
Yep.
and I went with Harry Dean Stanton. All right, where are you going next?
Scene.
Okay,
Scene. And this one, yeah, I don't know. I mean, we'll see if the other one. This one, like, actually stood out pretty easily to me. And it's the saloon scene, the opening when he first like kind of comes into the town.
incredible,
Yeah, and
incredible.
goes to and just the change. It's when he decides, oh, I'm gonna like play this up. He
Yeah,
goes from, like, what the hell is going on here to kind of like, okay, I can kind of like mess with this world. And the other animals go from like, I mean, obviously they're doing the whole like you're like a long way from home, partner. Like that whole
yeah, yeah.
to like ultimately amazed by him, but then like he talks about killing the brothers, obviously having no idea that there's seven of them, and then
Yeah,
one character says like all seven of them. And he's like, yeah, like, and he has to kind of make up that story, and so he gets to flaunt his like his ability to kind of like improvise and actually act. And I think that's a really fun part of like the whole character. And then we get a sense of like all the other ones and like how kind of like down on their luck that town is, like how much they're ready for like someone like him to come along, but kind of give him a little bit of a hope. And so I really like that scene. I thought it like kind of like sets a tone for the whole thing.
Yeah, it's incredible. My favorite touch of that whole scene is when he grabs the cactus juice bottle and it says Durango and he covers the D and the U and he's like,
Yeah.
I'm Rango.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
and then a hero was born. Yeah, it's incredible. I love when movies allow like a really good actor to do that whole identity changing thing or identity creating we don't really know much about this chameleon at all, other than he likes to act and gets thrown into this situation in dirt and changes everything.
We don't know his name. We don't know his name.
Yeah, we never find out like who this chameleon belongs to, like what really is going on. I love when he's like calling Rattlesnake Jake his brother. What's that quote? And someone's like, "Yeah, he's a snake," and he's like, "Yeah, we had a very." He says something about his mom.
My mother, yeah. Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, she had a very active social life." Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great stuff. So that opening bit is amazing. The like sliding the cactus juice across the bar and it like sticks into his hand. He's like, ugh.
Yeah, he has to pretend like it doesn't hurt. Yeah.
Yeah. He's this tough guy. Yeah. What happened in the 7th? You just said 6. He's like, oh, he died of an infection.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, just go nuts for this guy. And then you have that scene right after that outside with the hawk. That's just like, how did they do this? This looks incredible. So, yeah, that's a great pick. Can't go wrong there. So, opening saloon scene. Mine is the like huge wagon chase. I love that part where they go into that canyon. The movie feels larger than life. Mainly because first off, there's no water in the in the jug. They're all fighting over nothing.
Nothing. Yeah.
And the coolest touch of that scene is another kind of homage to just movies in general and kind of pop culture is when Ride of the Valkyrie starts like kicking in.
Yep.
And you're like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
And then they start playing on the banjo.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're like riding on bats and shit. And you're like, I mean, come on. This is some Mad Max, like nasty Western shit.
Yeah, exactly what I thought of. It's Mad Max. It felt like Mad Max,
Yeah, it's incredible. And then you like, I love this. One of my favorite things about Rango is if you and I walked into this, we'd be like, look at all those fucking weird little creatures. Like, what are they doing? Like this chameleon is like, yeah, on a wagon. Like all these things you like forget how small they are. But in that canyon and during that chase, where you got Balthazar and all of his people like chasing all of his creatures, I guess chasing them is gold. I mean, it's incredible because it becomes
it's the most important thing in the world to them. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. There's a great line in Kicking and Screaming. Robert Duvall is talking to Will Ferrell, and Will Ferrell's like, don't you, like this is a 12 and under league, and he says to the kids living between 1st Street and 12th Street, this is the big leagues. Like he reminds him, like, but for the kids that are of that age group, and live in this region of the city, this is big time. Like this is like that Saturday morning, going to the soccer field to play, like that is big time.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I love that because like you want to take shit seriously, like let's go out there and do our best.
Yeah, I had a tournament the other like about a week ago, and I told you the story about this ref kind of like we were supposed to start at 3:40 and it's like 3:17 and this ref like refuses to give us extra time to warm up. I was like, dude, we're 20 minutes ahead of schedule. Like just give us like 7 minutes to warm up. And he kept putting like a minute and a half on the clock. And he kind of was just like, yeah, like we all got places to be. And I was like, dude, but like we care. Like I care about this team. My team cares about this game. Like that's okay. Like you're paid to do a job. Like you're gonna get out of here earlier anyway. Like it was just it's like that like kind of like who cares thing. It's like, man, dude, like why are you even here? Like I just it was like so frustrating. It's like, yeah, I understand. Like in the grand scheme of life, like this doesn't mean much, but it's like, but right now it does. Like these guys have like worked hard. Like they've had a good week of practice.
Otherwise, why play basketball?
Yeah, it's like what's the point? Yeah, it's like why are any of us? And he tried to hit me with the whole like I played professionally. Like they're 15, 16-year-old. They can be ready for warm-ups after 2 minutes. I said, yeah, but like they could be more ready after 7. Like, and that's all I'm asking you for. And so I just stopped the clock, and thankfully he ended up letting us go for a little bit. But it's just like, dude, get over yourself. Like oh, I played professionally. Cool. Like good for you. Like but like you're not playing right now. You're a ref right now. So like do your job. It was just like that thought of to these people this thing matters. And like that's cool. That's okay. It's like that's why this movie is so fun to watch because like it makes you feel like this is some like grand like giant adventure. And really it's probably taking place over the course of like like 35 square feet. You know what I mean? It's
Yes,
like how far,
yes,
it's like how far
yeah,
is this even? Like it's just like this tiny little world that they're in. And so it's something we would just like walk right past and not even think of, or drive past on a road trip and
yeah,
think of. But to them it's the world.
yeah. I mean, if I did drive past a frog like with a cigar, I'd be like, wait a minute, is that dirt? Yeah, is that the town of dirt? But yeah, it's hilarious. But I love when movies like are able to bring you into their world and like that's I mean Toy Story. That's what Toy Story is. Like
Yep, exactly.
it brings you down to Woody's level, and you're like, this is the most important thing ever.
Yep.
That's what a good, I think, animated quote unquote family slash kids movie can do is like bring you in as well as an adult. And Rango certainly straddles the line of a family kids movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole scene is great. The Ride of the Valkyries. I remember when we did this almost 2 years ago. Connor had never seen it, and he was like, "Did they really like? Do they really just have the balls to be like, let's play one of the most like famous like dun 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 dun,
Yeah.
dun with
Well,
banjos? Like,
yeah. I mean, do you want to just get? I mean, that's my music moment.
yeah, go ahead. It's that, and then after that, the Blue Danube Waltz plays the na 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 dun dun
Yeah.
dun dun. It's like, oh yeah, I mean, yeah, just another huge pop culture shout out. So cool.
So yeah, that's my music moment is the Ride of the Valkyries during that scene. So in a score that has so much good, I mean, it felt a little bit weird to pick something that's not part of the kind of original score because the score is so good. But yeah, no,
I mean,
yeah,
well, you also have the Los Lobos playing Rango. Like they're
yeah,
so good. The
yeah,
mariachi band of owls. Yeah,
yeah, and they're acting as like the kind of like narrators essentially of the film, in a way. Yeah,
yeah. They wrap the movie up at the end. Yeah,
yeah,
they're fucking great. So all right, so that wraps up your awards. Your music moment is Ride of the Valkyries. Which yeah, I mean, there's like tons of versions on Spotify, but I was listening to it before I went to work earlier today. I was listening to it like in the shower, and I was like, man, this is just an epic piece of music. Like,
oh, it's so good.
just
Yeah,
fantastic. I kind of wish when I was younger, I would have had the balls to be like, "Hey, coach, can we use this for like warm up music?" That would have been so funny,
oh my god, that would have been awesome.
to like run out to that. Yeah. I'm glad you picked that because I did go with a piece of the score by Hans Zimmer. It's called "Welcome to Dirt," and it's the first time he kind of lays eyes upon the town, and it is a kind of sad. It's kind of a sad piece of the score that just kind of I don't know. It's kind of one of those tone setters, and you hear the guy. There's like these creatures right when Rango walks in, and he's like, oh, like what is this? And he's like, oh well, I tried, but just couldn't get out, so we gotta get back out on the field. Like okay, well clearly he's in this western like broken down town that is hot as hell,
Yeah,
and I love that. It's like a minute long, the Welcome to Dirt score piece, and it's great. But this movie's awesome. Has so many cool moments. I think we got to share a lot of stuff that we liked through the movie. I'm trying to think. There's anything. Oh, I mean, I'd be silly not to mention. Like one of my favorite movies of all time is Chinatown. So this just works. The mayor thing. You control the water. You control everybody. That's like directly from Chinatown. Uh, the character of Noah Cross, who literally says that. He tells Jack Nicholson, "You control the water in Los Angeles. You control everything." And it's true. It's pretty scary, but it's true. And then you think about these little creatures, how it applies to them and also applies to humans. So I love all that stuff at the end of the movie when they kind of show when he like goes over that hill and he sees the sprinklers going, like the giant,
yeah,
the city, and his mind starts to kind of like figure out, oh, okay, like I think I do have something I need to go back for.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
really cool. It's a really cool moment.
Yeah, it is, and that's Vegas, right? Is that we're kind of like led to? It's like, yeah,
Yeah, I would assume. Yeah.
and
Also, another shout out to Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
yes, yes, which I thought was probably intentional. Which makes sense. Yeah, these movies that we've done in this series so far, like I'm making like quite a few notes, and even like the series that Jeremy and I are about to start, that we recorded a few for you guys already, but like I've seen them so many times. I'm kind of like, oh, I can like have my laptop out and like making notes the entire time. I didn't really do that with this because like I just want to kind of watch it. So I put my laptop away. I was like, I'm just gonna watch it and kind of I would make a couple notes about like which awards I wanted to have, but It was good. So I don't have as many like, oh, like what about this? What about this thing? Because like I haven't seen it. I'd only seen it once before, and so I really want to like kind of experience it again. And yeah, I left it like, man, that was better than I remembered, and a really good one. And wouldn't have certainly made my top 10 list, but like I'm glad it was in this like project. I'm glad we got to talk about it because it was really fun.
Yeah, it's very different than most of the movies
Yeah,
we've
it
talked
is.
about. Even it's even much different than the other animated movies we've done, Inside Out and Coco, both Pixar classics, like two of the best of modern Pixar that they have to offer. And Rango's just it's just right up my alley. It's one of those things too that's kind of a depending on who you are, it can open these kind of pop culture doors for you. You're like, wait, what reference is that? What is that? And so it forces you to, when I saw Rango and I was reading about it, then I was like, okay, well, I need to watch Chinatown now. I need to watch these old Clint Eastwood movies. I need to watch this and that. And like the Blue Danube Waltz is a direct shout out to 2001 Space Odyssey. I was like, well, I need to see that too. And that that's kind of like why I watch movies. It's just like there's just layers and layers and references to stuff that I eventually fall in love with. So I have to thank Rango for being one of those open door moments, I guess, that I definitely walked through, and you know, I haven't looked back. I'll
Yeah,
I'll say that, but
yeah,
yeah,
that's
great
beautiful.
stuff. So, I write down everything for because I have this spiral that is covered every um like episode that I've ever like hosted or whatever. Um, so which Tarantino did you actually go with? It wasn't the Balthazar. You went with the Shakespeare one,
Yeah, yeah, Balthazar. Yeah, yeah,
the Thespians.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay, so that's your actual choice. Okay,
yeah,
I like to write them all down because it's cool to look back and you're like, oh yeah, it is. Yeah, that is a great line.
yeah. Record keeping. No, I like that. That's good.
Yeah, I love writing things by hand. I've just always been that way. So that's just something I do. Uh, something I've always been keen on. So yeah, it's gonna run out soon. It's like one of those like giant 500-page ones. It's gonna be done soon.
I was
Let's
gonna
see.
say, yeah, I was gonna say, how much more space do you have? But
Not much, not much. I mean, I try to use every like inch that I can of the paper. So I do have a good amount left. Like it'll last me maybe another year, maybe. I don't know. Also depends how many episodes I host.
sure, yeah.
Anyways, that was fun. Let's move over to what's in the box. See what people are saying about this movie on Letterboxd.
What's in the fucking box? Give me the gun.
I have 3 reviews here. Couple, they're all kind of funny. First one is from I don't know how to say it. It's Allor, maybe I don't know. It's a Patreon account. Pretty good stuff. This review has 907 likes. It's from May of 2021. How can your brother be a snake when you're a lizard? My, my mother had a very active social life. And then Allure says, I just cannot believe that this is a Nickelodeon production movie. I totally agree. Gave it 4.5 stars. Just kind of shouted out one of the funny lines of the movie. If you're paying attention and you're an adult, you're going to be like, "Oh yeah, that shouldn't be there," but it is for you. It's for the adult.
This.
So I appreciate that from Gore Verbinski and company. Those lines that I mean, Willow's not going to catch that, and she's not going to. It's not going to change her at all. She's like, I don't know what that means.
Right, right.
It takes a certain mind to get it. This one, this one is awesome, and I kind of agree. It's from Becca, another patron account. This is a review from 2016. Beans is one of the ugliest animated characters I've ever seen in my fucking life. 3 stars.
Yeah, what exactly? There's a couple animals that I'm like, I don't really know what they are, Like I don't.
Beans is like some kind of amphibian, but I don't really know.
I don't
Like
either. Yeah.
like also some kind of lizard, maybe. I'm not quite sure on beans. I mean, yeah, some of them like look so disgusting. like,
Yeah.
like, I mean, they're the saloon. The your favorite scene of the movie. I can see like why a kid wouldn't gravitate towards it because it's just like layers of like brown, black, gray,
Yes.
just kind of, and then a chameleon, then like a green with like a Hawaiian shirt.
Right.
Chameleon, and it's just kind of like, oh, this is gross. Like, but I definitely respond to it now. But I could see why a kid would just be like turned off, like, this isn't bright enough. This last one, Jacob Pi. This is one of my favorite follows on Letterboxd. This is from April of 2018. I really debated on this rating for a hot minute, but who am I kidding? Let's give it a whirl. Rango is fucking hilarious. If this were in the hands of a lesser director and produced by Disney, this would be a watered down, forgetful, predictable film with no real technical achievement. Roger Deakins was attached to an animated film as a consultant, and I think that's worth mentioning because his contribution to the film's visuals are more than prevalent throughout. The acting, my God, the acting. Everyone from the miscellaneous characters to the principals. They all breathe so much life into every rugged, angry animal depicted in each frame. I expected to hate this, but I wound up loving it, and that's truly saying something because I'm negative as shit. 5 stars. That's it sounds like Jeremy.
Yeah, it does.
Sounds like our brother, who would just be like, "Oh yeah, I like this, but I don't know why." definitely his personality. But yeah, that's it for what's in the box. Just quick 3.
Those some good ones.
Most people are, it's got a 3.6, which is pretty good. There's a lot of people who are just like, this is boring, whatever, like not for me. They, give it 2.5. But there's a lot of people out there who are just like, oh, this movie's hilarious. I can't believe it's a kid's movie, whatever, kind of the same. There's a lot of the same kind of reviews out there, and that's quite all right. There's nothing wrong with that. I think you kind of stand in one or the other when it comes to this movie. But yeah, we'll wrap it up and get on out of here. So thank you guys. Thank you guys for listening. If you like what we do, feel free to follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can go to Letterboxd, search Connor95 to kind of find the rest of the Filmgazm team. Just go to his followers or following. You can find me, Adam. I believe Jeremy's on there. Even Brianna's on there. Caleb, Josh, pretty much everybody. Colton. Check out filmgazm.com for trailers and etc. I believe we have some new podcasts on there right now. You can click on the links there, and Connor's got reviews pretty much every single day. If you'd like to become a monthly donor to Filmgazm Productions, feel free to click on the link in the episode description. From there, click on support this podcast. Any amount of donations will go right back into the podcast. We appreciate any kind of support you all can give. Thanks to the entire Filmgazm team for their contributions to the show. Special shout out to Cooley Cal for the theme music. And most of all, thank you all for listening. Keep watching movies, and we'll see you soon.